Gator Dave, how you doing, sir?
I am well. I am well, Mike. I'm well. It is finally here. We are only hours away from week one, right? So, gosh dang it. It's been too long. We've been having fun the last few weeks, though, picking our
Gator
who we
Dave, how
thought
you
was going to
doing,
make
sir?
it in and all that kind of good stuff. But now it's down and dirty. The Big 12 that we're going to look at, the 12 games that we're going to look at today. So we're in our fourth season. We are now Bets Utopia, the number one spot for sports betting. So remember, subscribe, like, follow, hit that stuff so we can make it happen here on YouTube. We're super excited to get things rolling and rolling here to week one. We're glad to be back. If you have trouble finding us, all you got to do is Google That's Utopia Sports Betting. You'll pop right there. So we are fired up and ready to go. Wednesdays, 8:00 live, and can't catch us live, just come back and see us, man. We got the streaming version is there. So we're excited. This weekend, football season coming up, and we are going to the swamp. It's Gator Dave and Miami Mike. We're going to be in the swamp, Mike. We're going to be
Can't
together
wait.
in the
Cannot
swamp.
wait.
It is going to be so much fun. Public House and Hindu riding with us, so it is going to be a great weekend. And at least up until maybe that 6:00 hour, we'll figure that out later. But we're going to have fun no matter what. So, shall we get into the games, Mike?
Let's get it going. But first, I think it's only right that we should talk about the two games that were
That's
played
right.
in week zero.
We've had
You know, if you look just up here, you'll see it's a 1-1 record. If you look over that away, you'll see over on Gator Dave's side. So we talked about it before. We used to have medals, and we still do, that are going to go on the screen after each week, so you have an idea of who's in the lead, as well as the record. I told Dave I don't want the medal. I don't want the medal yet. We're not done yet with week zero because we threw a couple week one games on there. So we're waiting. I don't want your 2-game medal. All right.
Yeah, 2 games. Really, it's only 1 game because you only won one. So, but
Go Tech, baby. Go Tech.
yeah, that's
Go
right.
Jackets.
And that was an amazing game. We've got our friend Ian Gleason on the line. He's here. Appreciate you coming on. He could have hidden from us, but he's there supporting our little FSU Seminole there. So well, let's hit these
Stand
games,
strong.
Mike.
Stand strong.
Yeah.
Let's get to
There's
it.
plenty of time left. It's only 1 game. All right. So we are rolling in on Friday night, August 30th. We are starting off with TCU Horned Frogs at -10 versus Stanford, the new addition to the ACC. The over-under on this one's 59.5. So TCU was 5-7 last year. Really a down year for them if you think about what they've done over the last number of years. Even gone to the playoff, right? Stanford, three wins. They've won 3 wins 3 years in a row. So it's kind of down for the poor Stanford Cardinal. Sonny Dykes rolling TCU, rough year, but I think they're going to turn things around quite a bit. They've got quarterback Josh Hoover, a sophomore. He came in the last 6 games last year, Mike, put up averaged 340 yards a game passing, 13 DDs, 7 picks against some pretty tough opponents. So he's going to roll in there pretty big. I think the offense is going to get it done. They've got some nice wide receivers. Eric McAllister, 19 yards a catch out of Boise State. They grabbed him, so he's going to fit in rather nicely. So Stanford, their quarterback is Ashton Daniels. They're bringing back 2 of their top 2 receivers, but again, it's like kind of reminds me of Vanderbilt a little bit. So the Cardinals standout offense. They got a wideout named Eric Ayamaner. He had over 1,000 yards of offense last year. That's kind of their one guy to talk about. Their defense last year, Mike, 129th They gave up more passing yards than any team in all of college football. I've only got them winning 2 games this year, Mike, and this is definitely not one of them. And I'm going to say TCU is going to take them down here easy. Those 10 points are easy. Could be 14, but we're good with the 10 here. So I got TCU on this one.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Talking about Sonny Dykes, he came in year one, took TCU to the national championship, and also put a lot of guys in the hot seat around the country because these schools were looking at these coaches going, Sonny did it in 1 year. What's taking y'all so long, in the turnaround?
Yep.
But then last year followed it up with a 5-7 season. So there's a lot to prove, in my opinion, for Sonny Dykes this year. He hit the transfer portal hard, brought in a lot of new guys, a lot of D1 Power 5 guys. Should make a difference. Like you said, we neither one of us are high on Stanford. It's going to take a little bit for them to get back to what we knew them in the early 2000s, late 2010 kind of deal. I think it's TCU as well here. I think the -10 is a safe bet. It's only gone up. I think get it while you can. It's probably going to continue to rise. The good news is it's Friday, so today's Wednesday. It's not a lot of time for that to shift too much, but I'm going to throw some numbers out. I know you love numbers, Dave. I got a lot of numbers tonight, all right?
Love it. I love it, Mike.
In the 2 years under Sonny Dykes, TCU has won their first road games of the year. 2022, they beat Colorado 38-13. Last year, they beat Houston 36-13. I think it's going to be something similar. So, yeah, I'm with you. Give me TCU.
Awesome. All right. We're out of the blocks together there, Mike. Let's move on to game number 2.
It's not going to last. So, we're going to talk
not
Miami of Ohio. Miami of the North is playing Northwestern. They're making the trip to Northwestern. This is Northwestern's first game in their brand new stadium. They spent all this money. It's right by the river. It's beautiful, or right by the lake. It's beautiful. It's absolutely wonderful. Would love to go see a game there one day. It looks awesome. Again, I'm going to hit you with some numbers, though. All right, so this one right here, I kept going back and forth with Dave. It's like I could easily find, parallels on both sides as well, and yeah. So, let's talk through it. So it is that first game in the brand new stadium. Mike Wright transferred in to Northwestern, the former Vandy quarterback, and I believe he was at Mississippi State as well. He transferred into Northwestern. He should get the start. I actually like Mike White. I think if given the opportunity and given the chance, I think he can do something. So I actually like that pickup for Northwestern. So a couple numbers here again for you. Miami head coach Chuck Martin, he is 22-37 in away games straight up. Last year was his best record in away games while being at Miami of Ohio. He went 6-1. That's the first time he's won like a winning record in away games the entire time that he was at Miami of Ohio. His quarterback last year, Blaine Gabbert. No, I'm sorry, not Blaine Gabbert. His little brother.
Brett
Gabbert. He is coming back, so they have the quarterback coming back. Their only loss, fun note here for you, Dave. Only loss last year on the road was to
Northwestern.
No,
Miami. No idea.
Miami of the South.
That's
right. That was their only away loss last year. So other than that, they were 6-0. So I'm not worried too much about Miami of Ohio making the road trip here. I think the more that I thought about it, I think the new stadium kind of works against Northwestern. There's a lot of hoopla, a lot of theatrics that are going on. Everybody's talking about the new stadium. The players are probably getting asked about it. I think it could be a distraction. Miami of Ohio is also 7-3 all-time versus Northwestern. However, Miami of Ohio over the last 10 years is 10-31 against non-conference opponents, Dave. This is a non-conference opponent. Northwestern has a lot to prove. I like their head coach. I think he's going to have them ready to go in this game. I do not think the theatrics are going to get a hold of them. and I think Northwestern is going to get it done here. It's going to be a good game, though. I'm actually looking forward to watching this one. But give me Northwestern on the money line. Who do you got, Dave?
All right. So, yeah, a lot of the same stats you threw out there. I mean, Miami of Ohio last year 11-3, right? They won the MAC, and they lost Brett Gabbert, Blaine's brother, halfway through the season and to a horrific leg injury, but he's back. They expect him to be player of the year, so I'm looking for some shooting there. They've got some great receivers. Greg Lavidan from South Carolina. They got a kick returner named Cade McDaniel. Deep threat Javon Tracy. They brought a guy in from Arizona State. They got a tight end from Florida State there, Ian. So they've got some guys that this kid can throw to. So it's going to be a pretty cool game in terms of offense, especially for Miami of Ohio, because we know Northwestern's not that great on defense. They got a running back that looked pretty good, Kenny Tracy, 708 yards and 5 touchdowns last year. Now, Northwestern returns 15 starters from that team last year, Mike, so that kind of gives them a bit of an upper hand. That's not too bad compared to some teams. The problem is both their quarterbacks transferred, and they're bringing in this guy you like, Mike Wright, who is a journeyman SEC bottom tier. He does, Mike. He does. But he's an SEC bottom feeder journeyman. Vandy.
Oh, not a bottom feeder.
Yeah, dude. I mean, 55%.
Hey, one man's trash, Dave. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
55% completion rate. He runs the ball, but that's about it. Northwestern, 2.9 yards on the ground last year. Not too good. They did have a good turnover margin. I think that was the difference in the team last year that gave them those 8 wins. So I think there was a lot of luck involved there. Mike, give me the Red Hawks to upset in the shiny new stadium. Those Hawks are going to take a dump. Give me some bird doo-doo on the stadium. Boom!
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I see it. I'm not going to lie. That over-under, too, that total being at 39.5, it's going to be a super low-scoring game. The points there is – I'm not mad at that at all. I think that's a good pick. And something I want to throw out there, too, which doesn't go for me but goes for you, Bars. Northwestern is 3-7 in their last 10 versus MAC opponents. Not great, Dave.
Damn, not good. Not good. Not good.
Great.
Not good at all.
Moving on.
Hey, real quick, Mike, We had 10 with us. Monty, my boy Monty's out there. Public House, Ian, Evelyn. Those are the ones that are have reared their heads. So appreciate you guys coming in. Love it, love it, love it. Let's get on the next game. We got UNLV versus Houston. Houston getting they got -2.5, over under at 54.5. So here's what we got, Mike. UNLV last year, very exciting team. 9-5. Houston, in the dumpster, 4-8. UNLV, very dangerous. I realize they did lose their quarterback to USC, but they're a very dangerous team. They have a lot of players that could play in Power 4, and I think they've done a good job about keeping them. There's probably a little bit of money maybe in Vegas, so they've been able to keep those guys. So we got a quarterback for UNLV. His name's Matt Sluka. He came over from Holy Cross. Mike, he threw for 6,000 yards in his career at Holy Cross. 59 scores, close to 3,600 yards of rushing, and 38 scores on the ground. This kid is electric. I'm excited about seeing this guy. Receivers, Mike, remember this name, Ricky White. Ricky White, everybody.
Ricky Stinnett.
He is going to be the number 2 receiver behind our boy Luther Burton there at Missouri. Number 2 receiver in all the land. Last year, 88 catches, 1483, 8 touchdowns. Kid is for real. They're bringing back 7 starters on defense, which is pretty darn good. Let's look at Houston. They brought in our boy Willie Fritz from Tulane, taking over for Dana Holgerson. He's got 13 upperclassmen transfer portal folks coming in. Rah, 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 rah. Come on, let's see what can happen. Houston's quarterback, Donovan Smith, last year, he was adequate. 2,800 yards, 64%, 22 touchdowns. But, Mike, he threw 13 interceptions. And remember, they only won 4 games. 4 games.
He's all right.
The defense, horrible last year. Absolutely horrible. Mike, I don't think either one of these defenses are that great, so I'm gonna do something a little different here, and I'm gonna say this is gonna be a shootout and get me over 54.5 points. Boom. What you say, buddy?
All right. I love it. I could definitely see that. But you were kind of shitting on Houston a little bit here, so I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong.
A lot of shit. Yeah.
First year under Willie Fritz, you mentioned it. Old Tulane coach, old Georgia Southern coach. He's got that quarterback, Donovan Smith, that you mentioned, dual threat. But the biggest thing for me about this Houston team, experienced offensive line. They got a lot of guys with experience, a lot of veterans on that in that front too. So that's the biggest thing for me. Like you mentioned as well, Barry Odom for UNLV. He is back for UNLV after going 9-5. Did you know that last year was their first bowl game and winning season in over 10 years?
That's crazy.
It had been not a good stretch for old UNLV. Barry Odom turned it around. However, UNLV is 0-3 all time versus Houston. Small sample size, but UNLV, remember dating back, they've been a little inconsistent, a little shaky. They've lost their first away game in each of the last 5 years. This is their first away game. Give me Houston on the money line, Dave.
Wow.
Going with
Interesting.
It. Going with
Interesting. All right. I feel real good about this one, Mikey. All right.
You're gonna love this next one.
Oh, I bet I am.
You're gonna love it.
I might call the next one. You know, you go ahead. It's your turn. It's your turn to go first, Mike. Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. But I'm going to hit you with some numbers while I do. Are you ready, Dave?
I am ready, Mike.
Boise State. I'm just gonna give you numbers because I know you're going to go in depth about the rosters and everything else. All right, so Boise State, last 3 years, going back to that road opener thing that we just talked about.
Yeah,
they've lost 3 in a row. Quarterback Malachi Nelson transfers in for Boise State from USC. He wasn't getting any play time behind Caleb Williams. Miller Moss obviously won the job. His bowl game, 6 touchdown performance, that helped. So he transferred out of there, came to Boise. This is the first time that Georgia Southern's been a home underdog since 2022. Georgia Southern is 12-14 straight up against or under Clay Helton, but they are 9-3 at home, Dave. So they're a completely different team that when they play in Statesboro than they are on the road. Since 2014, Georgia Southern is actually 11-9-1 against the spread as a home dog. So there is something potentially there. It's not completely, one-sided or whatnot. And Georgia Southern is 5-0 in their last 5 home openers. I went back and forth on this one too. I really did. Boise is.
Do it.
I feel like I always bet against Boise at the beginning of the year, and they always kick me right where it hurts. And I'm ready to get hurt again, Dave. Give me the Eagles. Give me fly, Eagles, fly, baby. Plus 13. Yes. We're gonna get it done. Go Georgia Southern. Gotta.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. Interesting, Mike. So let's break it down here, Mike. Boise State, not a good year last year for them. They've been a little better. I mean, they still won the Mountain West at 8-6, but Georgia Southern 6-7 in Sun Belt, a little disappointing. We lost our ass on them a few times last year. Projected wins for Boise State 9.5, Mike. And by the way, Malachi Nelson going to be sitting his ass on the bench because Maddox Madsen is the starting quarterback out of the blue, baby. He is the starting quarterback.
I feel even better
not
about
Malachi.
it.
So
Feel even better about it.
because this guy is reject city. So Boise State might have the best running back in the nation, Mike. Ashton Gentney, 1347, 14 touchdowns, 43 catches for 569 yards and 5 scores last year. The kid don't play. They got a couple of wide receivers, Cam Camper, a kid named Connor Gilbreth, tight end out of LSU. They got a huge chip on the shoulder from last year. I have them, if you remember, Mike, I have them making the 12-team playoff. So I have some confidence in this team. Georgia Southern lost their last 5 games, Mike, last year. They are only projected to win 5 games in 2024. Down year for that team. Okay? Now, they should be passing the ball well. They throw the ball well. But the problem this year is they got a kid named Dexter Williams. Didn't do much in Indiana. He's probably the quarterback. The backup is this J.C. French guy who was the backup last year. So not real sure they're going to be that secure on the quarterback side of things. So, pardon? French is starting?
I was just saying, I think he's the one that's starting.
Yeah, so that was the backup from last year. So we'll see how that goes. Now they do have receivers. Kid named Caleb Hood, 101 catches last year. Derwin Burgess had 6 TDs. So they got some guys that can run down the field. Running back Jalen White is back. He had 889 yards last year, 9 scores, 5.6 yards a carry. So that should go well for them. But Mike, their defense is horrible. They gave up 4.6 yards per carry on the ground and 7.7 yards per catch. Don't feel real good about Georgia Southern. They burned us last year, and they burned us at the end of the year. So give me Boise State and those 13.5 points there, Mike. I feel pretty good about this one. I might even call this one a Gator Dave lock.
Wow, first one of the year. That was good, dude.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.
All right, moving on here. So we're talking Virginia Tech is taking a trip. We got a little ACC SEC matchup as a little prelude to another one that we'll obviously be discussing here towards the end later of the show. But first, we got Vatech taking on Vanderbilt. They're making the trip to Nashville. This one, oh man. So again, another one that I went back and forth on. I'm kind of just sticking to my guns, but man, oh man, when I started digging deep into the numbers, it's not great, Dave. It's not great. So we'll start here.
You were having trouble going, really? Virginia Tech's supposed to be good, but you can't see it, right?
So Yeah. They've failed before, and I'll mention a couple of them right now. So Virginia Tech in their last 5 road openers, we're going back to this. They are 1-4 straight up. So they're 1-4 in those games, but they're 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 road openers. They've lost outright in those home openers to Boston College, West Virginia, Old Dominion, and Rutgers.
Oh,
not great. Not great. On the flip side, Vandy, their head coach, he's in his 4th year there. During his tenure, they are 4-10 against the spread at home. They're 5-14 straight up. It's just not. As a home dog, they're 4-10 against the spread. Vandy's lost their last 10 games in a row from dating back to last year. Last year they started the season 2-0. People were like, "Oh, here we go." Is Vandy pulling the old Cleveland Brown and turning it around? No, not so much. They lost 10 in a row to end the year.
Didn't they beat
They did. And they look great. They look great doing it. It was like a week 0 game, so everybody was like, "Ooh," It was the only thing on. So I do think this one has the potential to be close. Vandy has a quarterback transfer coming in by the name of Diego Pavia, and the dude can play. He can absolutely sling the rock. So I think that's big here for Vanderbilt. If Virginia Tech looks forward to next week, doesn't give Vandy the respect that they should, This could easily be a Vanderbilt cover, but again, like I said at the beginning, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to go Vatek minus 13 here. The difference being is their quarterback, Kyron Drones. This dude flat out can play. If Virginia Tech goes on a run this year, I mean, he's a potential Heisman guy. He can throw it, and he's a dual threat. So give me Vatek to get started here. I'm thinking maybe, 38-21 or 28-14, something along those lines. I think it's going to be a close first half, so maybe look at Vanderbilt for first half, but I'm going to stick to my guns with Vatek. So give me them minus 13. What do you like here, Dave?
So let me shout out. We're up to 12 watching now. Just say hey to everybody. Feel free to pop something in chat. Let us know who's out there. We'd love to know. Give us comments. Give us a yell. Love to start some smack. That last game, though, it's coming, guys. It's coming. All right. So Virginia Tech minus 13, Vanderbilt, 48.5 on the line. So the Hokies, 6-6 last year, but everybody thinks they're going to be a team to watch. I mean, Mike talked about that. Vanderbilt, 2-10, sucked. Brent Pryce, the coach of Virginia Tech, and the guy that everyone is expecting great things to happen, as Mike said, Kyron Drones. And, last year, only 2,084 yards, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's good. Only 58% completion rate, and he ran for 200 yards and 5 TDs. So, but it's that potential everybody's talking about. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, you heard Mike talk about Heisman. He's on that list for the Heisman.
Should take a big step. Yep.
Yeah, so it's like, but this guy's going to have to produce, and we know sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't, right? Virginia Tech's bringing back 11 on offense, 9 on defense. Now I think that's pretty damn key. I mean, that's 20 of 22. That's pretty freaking good. Yep. So that I think is that's what's telling folks, yeah, they're going to do better than the 6-6 this year, but show us, right? Virginia Tech, they were ranked 4th nationally against the pass last year. That's pretty stunning stat in terms of that backfield, defensive backfield. So Vandy, you heard Mike talk about Pavia from New Mexico State, 3,000 yards, 26-9, 63% percentage. I mean, that's pretty good, but granted, that was at New Mexico State. Now he's going to be in the SEC, so we'll see how that goes.
That's true.
Now, one thing everyone should be aware of, we got 10 people on here, so Vanderbilt is going to do several things very weird this year, Mike. They're going to do this thing, and what they talked about is the offensive line is going to move and put their stronger offensive linemen on the side they're going to run the ball to. Yeah. Some kind of weird shift. Some kind of weird shift shit. Okay? I'll give that a Okay? The other
Gator Dave,
The other is Clark Lee, the head coach of the Vanderbilt Commodores, Mike. He's going to be calling the defense. He's going to be the defensive coordinator. That's the head coach. I guess if you're at Vandy and you're that smart, maybe you can make that happen. Now, remember, Vanderbilt playing at home, guys. Home field, baby. No advantage. Give me the Hokies in them 13 points. Bada bing.
All right. Real quick, one thing I also want to throw in there. Potential look-ahead spot, again, for Vatek right here against Vandy. You know who they play next week, Dave? Vatek. Marshall.
We talked Marshall, yeah.
And Marshall beat Vatek last year by a touchdown. So that's definitely on their minds a little bit. So
interesting. All right.
Something to think about.
Absolutely. But we both agree here, Hokies 13. All right. Next game is Monday that we're going to talk about is Monday night. Boston College against the
Where's he at?
The Ian Gleason FSU Commodores. The 0-1 Commodores. Oh, I'm sorry.
Commodores.
Did I say Commodores? I meant Seminoles.
Yeah.
Seminores.
Yikes.
Seminole. Where did I come
How
to
many, how many
Commodore?
how many old fashions you have tonight, Dave? What's going
It's
on? You had a
only
good little
two,
pregame
man.
before week 1,
It's
huh?
it's so it was the
I didn't
Vanderbilt
know this.
Commodore.
You
We
should have
were
told me. I
one
need to get on your
behind.
level.
Damn it. Damn it. All right. We got a Hindu here, by the way. So, all right. So let's talk about Boston College and Florida State Seminoles. All right. We've got a minus 16.5 for FSU. Over-unders 49.5. So BC last year, 6-6 in 2023. FSU, we know, was undefeated until they hit Georgia, right? And we also know Seminoles are 0-1. I think Ian left because he's not saying anything. Seminoles are 0-1. They lost to Georgia Tech last week, 24-21. And Mike, we didn't even point this out. Georgia Tech missed a field goal. It could have been 27-21. BC, all right, their quarterback. So remember what happened to FSU. They got their ass ran up and down the field. BC's got a quarterback, Thomas Castellanos. He only throws for 57% on his completion rate, but dude can run. 1,113 yards last year, Mike. Their leading rusher was that quarterback.
Yep.
You don't want him throwing the ball a lot, though. 22-48, 15 TDs, and 14 interceptions. So it's that one of those 50-50 guys.
That's the one that hurts. Yeah.
Dude can run, though. Dude can run. And that's all they got to do against FSU, right? Against that great line.
That's
so,
true. They looked terrible against the run.
Bill O'Brien's the new coach at BC, and I don't think that guy's going to play. They returned 14 from a team last year that lost to FSU by only 2 damn points. Okay. BC had 18 penalties for 131 yards last year. So what are we going to do this year? FSU, we got DJ coming in. He was 19-27, 193 yards, 70%. Respectable. He ran the ball 6 times for 7 yards. He had trouble throwing the ball down the field, Mike. He had 2 good throws on those 4th downs. That was about it. Florida State ran the ball for 98 yards, average 3.2s a carry. Williams 38, Toafili 32. Mike, if you look at that running number at 98 yards, 58 of those yards were in the first drive. So they only had 40 yards after the first drive on the ground.
If it was first to score, they look great. I mean, that first drive was immaculate. Immaculate.
Yeah, baby, I got this. They gave up, FSU gave up 190 on the ground to Tech, 146 in the air. Tech averaged 5.3 yards a carry against what was supposed to be the strongest D-line in the country. Tech's O-line dominated that D-line. Seminoles did the usual shopping in the portal. You know, they got Malik Benson and, you know, Marvin Jones and Earl Little, but they didn't show out this past week, Mike. I wasn't impressed with Seminoles.
No.
But we all know they got players. They got blue chips. Biggest improvement comes from game 1 to game 2, Mike. Okay? BC has not played yet. They're still at game 1. So I'm going to go a little off the reservation here. Reservation, get it? FSU Seminoles. I'm going to get the under 49.5 points, Mike.
Okay. I think it's a safe bet. I'm going to take a risk here, Dave.
You are.
I'm going back to the well. Going back to the well, and we're fading Florida State. We're fading Florida State here. Look at your face. You think you got another one. That's the same face he had last week, folks. You saw it. We're taking Boston College plus 16.5. This is going to be a quick turnaround for Florida State coming back from Ireland. Tough loss They thought they were going to have that one in the bag. They were over there dancing, gigging. It's not happening. It's not happening. Boston College is going to cover this game, potentially win outright in Tallahassee.
No, man. No.
Florida State can't tackle. They can't tackle, and that's not going to change in a week.
Boston
It's not going to
College,
change.
so come on.
You mentioned it, though. Thomas Castellanos. He is going to get it done. He is going to get it done. Bill O'Brien is going to use him the right way, I hope, and run the ball after we watched that tape last week. Boston College could easily put up 300 yards on the ground against Florida State. As long as their defense comes to play even a little bit. You saw what Georgia Tech did to them last week. I mean, that we mentioned it a minute ago. That first drive for Florida State, it looked like they had the game in the bag. It looked like, why are you even what are we doing, Georgia Tech? You shouldn't even showed up. And then the game played out, and just over and over, FSU had three and outs. They just couldn't move the ball. And for me, there was a guy that they need to play more. It's number 13. His name is Jalen Lucas. That dude right there can flat out fly. Okay? I don't know why he only got a couple of carries, I think, in the game. But when he touched the ball, he made the most of his opportunities. He 100% needs to be on the field for Florida State for them the rest of the season. He needs to get more touches. I look to him to probably get some here. However, that number at 49.5, that to me is telling, and I like BC to get the cover. So give me BC.
So I would agree. I would definitely agree with you here. I think we both win. On this one, Mike. I feel pretty good about Boston College too right now. Again, it's game 1 to game 2, and Ian did come back. Just so you know, he's already in the chat, making sure.
Good. I'm glad.
He's known, and he said tough loss, but they'll come back and make it happen. So we'll see. We shall see.
Norvell isn't the best coach when Jordan Travis isn't around, it turns out.
Hey, and Bill O'Brien, he ain't gonna play, man. That dude, the coaching will be on the BC side this weekend.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
Absolutely.
The guy can coach. So, all right.
Moving on.
Next up, we got Fresno State versus Michigan Wolverines, the Cheetahs, the winners of the championship last year. So Michigan favorite. Cheaters.
Sorry.
Come on, Mike. All right, Michigan favored by 21 in this one. Over under is 45.5. So Fresno, 9-4 last year in the Mountain West. Michigan, of course, won the national title game. Fresno's QB, Mickey Keene. We all know him. He came over from UCF.
Mikey.
Okay, Mikey Keene came over from UCF, and he's actually played pretty well last year in that for that team. So completing 67% of his passes, almost 3,000 yards, 24 TDs, and 10 picks. Leading rusher last year is a Malik Sherrod. He had 5 yards per carry. Offense looks pretty decent. The defense, however, ranked 97th against the run last year. So obviously we know Michigan likes to run the ball, so that could be a problem. The experts say Fresno's going to be 5th in the Mountain West, Mike. 5th in the Mountain West. They're going to pick Michigan 4th in the big, in the Big Ten. Okay, let's do the balancing act. So Michigan only returns 5 starters, Mike. So that could be a serious problem for Fresno State. The quarterback this year is Alex Orji, new guy. I mean, he obviously played last year for him in mop-up roles, but we'll see how he does. Michigan's blue chip ratio is 54%, meaning 54% of the players are 5 or 4 stars. Wolverines defense is going to be for real, no doubt about it. always is. I mean, there's just no questioning that. My question here is, could Michigan? This is a Mike analogy. This is a Miami Mike analogy here, guys. You guys know I don't use them that much. Could Michigan be looking ahead to that Texas game next week? If they do look ahead, could be a problem, Mike. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game, but I am going to say Michigan doesn't score a lot anyway. They've got a new quarterback, okay? Even when they were good, they didn't score a lot of points. I think Fresno's going to score enough to make it a non-cover for Michigan. So give me Fresno State and 21 points, Mike.
All right. I like that. That's spicy, Dave. That's spicy. So I'm going to give you some numbers here. You mentioned pretty much, everything that we need to. Fresno State's former head coach, I should say, Jeff Tedford, he sat out the bowl game for health concerns. A guy named Tim Skipper took over, led Fresno State to a bowl win, and then Tedford officially stepped down a couple months ago for health reasons. So Tim Skipper, the interim guy for the bowl game, he has taken over. He is now Fresno's head coach, interim head coach, whatever you want to call him. You mentioned it, quarterback Mikey Keene is coming over. He's a great quarterback. I'm really excited to see what he can do over there in the Mountain West. I think fifth is kind of disrespectful to this Fresno State team. They have 5 seniors starting on their offensive line, Dave. That is a lot of experience for those Bulldogs. You mentioned Michigan and who they play next week. Texas, that is 100% a look-ahead spot. They won the national championship. This has sandwich game potential. Fresno State has a serious opportunity here to potentially upset this Michigan team. Take all the spotlight, take all the buzz, everything else. There is no but. I actually got a couple more for you. Michigan, 16-22 against the spread against non-conference teams in the last 10 years. Losing record, 16-22 against the spread. 32-31 against the spread at home, including losing records against the spread at home in 2022 and last year in 2023. In last year in 2023, think about that. That at the national championship game, and they still had a losing record at home against the spread. Give me Fresno State and the Bulldogs. I'm with you. I think this. Throw this on one of your Hail Mary parlays, money line parlays. This is one for me, 100%. I'm with you. Fresno State. I think they catch Michigan slipping. I think this is a very, very close game. The line has been going down a little bit. Try to get it while you can at 21 would be my advice, because that line should go under, and you want the points for this one. It's going to be a good one. Also, real quick, look at the line. At 45.5, that's a very low line. 21 points is a lot in that situation. So kind of make sure you're looking at those factors too.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they can score 30 points. I mean, 28. I don't even know if they can score that many points. I'll be honest with you.
As long as Fresno can do what they can to bottle up Donovan Edwards the best that they can. If they can force Orgy, that's the quarterback's name for Michigan, for everybody out there who's not aware. If they can force Orgy into some bad situations, this is his first start, as officially the guy after J.J. McCarthy's gone. Blake Corum's gone, so it's strictly Donovan Edwards' show in that backfield. If they can find a way to kind of rattle them early, get under their skin a little bit, there's no Jim Harbaugh. There's no, we got to do it for Jim, hype anymore, and that chip on their shoulder. I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to this one. This is one that when we're talking and we're sitting at the tailgate Saturday morning, Dave, and we've had a couple,
Yeah,
This is one that we're going to be talking about for sure. So keep an eye
absolutely.
on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. The next one, I am 1,000% sure we are opposite on. So why don't you lead us into the next game there, Mike? Because I already know where you're going there, my friend.
Well, since you know, let me give you some
Yeah.
numbers.
Give me
All right.
the stats, baby. Give
We're
me the
going
stats.
strictly stats here. Again, I love numbers. So unfortunately, if you don't like numbers, tough. Come back for Gator Dave's segment. So West Virginia is 9-51 straight up all time versus Penn State. That's the first stat I'm going to throw out there. 9-51 all time versus Penn State. However, and here's 2-35 since 1956. 2-35. So Penn State definitely has this team's number, right? They've actually only played once though since 1992, and that was last year. West Virginia has won at least one game as a home dog each of the last 5 years. Penn State is 26-20 in away games under James Franklin in each of the last 5 seasons. Penn State is 19-12 against the spread as an away favorite and 24-14 against the spread in non-conference games under James Franklin. They are 31-7 straight up in non-conference games. So it's all leaning towards Penn State, right? Penn State has only had one away non-conference game in the last 5 years. One. All their non-conference opponents have all come up to Happy Valley. Something of note, Penn State's OC, their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, and their special teams coach, all gone from last year. They have completely new coaching staff other than James Franklin in the position area, so that's going to be something to note in this first game. Whereas on the other side, West Virginia, they obviously retained all their coaches. They got Garrett Green coming back at quarterback. This has upset written all over it. The line for this game, if I remember right, I think it opened at 11.5, if not higher. So it's dropped significantly since then, and I think that's for a good reason. And we are gonna be at odds, I think, on this one, Dave. But I am gonna go with the West Virginia Mountaineers. I think this is another one, just like Fresno State, that they have a chance to win this one outright. I think they have a chance to pull it off at home in Morgantown. That place is going to be absolutely rocking. So give me West Virginia +8. Let's do it.
All right, Mike. So
Tell me why I'm wrong.
I'm kind of all about that rah-rah too, Mike. I love that rah-rah. I really do. But Penn State 10-3 last year. Mountaineers 9-4, different conferences. Last year at halftime, the game was 14-7, close game. It ended up 38-15 was the final. Now, jackass Franklin ran in a TD with 5 seconds left in the game. So, now, granted, that's a jackass, but granted, if Penn State's up by anything,
that's
could
what we
run
call
it in again.
No. That's what we call bulletin board material right there, Dave. That's been
right.
played over and over and over for the last 2 weeks. I can guarantee it.
I got you, but I'm thinking like our crew here, and I'm thinking wagers, and I'm thinking what could happen, and they're up by 3, and Franklin wants to run it in again, so it gets to 10.
And it steals the supposedly he did that last year because there were some boosters that like to bet on the games, and they bet on Penn State to cover. Supposedly that is the reason that he did that.
It's not the first time the guy.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong in saying that.
I know. Now let's dig a little deeper here, Mike. Penn State 15 starters from a Big Ten team that came in 3rd last year. Drew Aller Can he improve? Don't know. There's 3 quarterbacks this year. We got Aller at Penn State, and we're going to talk about the others because we got the others coming up. We got our boy at Texas A&M, right? Can he make it happen, Wegman? And then, of course, we got our boy at Clemson, who is Klubnik. Can he make it happen? Those 3 guys, to me, are the notables that, like, are they going to step it up or not? Can they step it up? Because they've gotten all this freaking hype. All right. The other thing to look at is Kyron Allen, running back for Penn State. He's like in the top 1 or 2 for running backs for the Heisman. Okay. It will be a hostile environment for Nittany Lions for sure. No doubt about it. Penn State last year, Mike, 111 tackles for loss. Led the league. Neil Brown, West Virginia Mountaineers, he was on the smoking ass hot seat. We talked about it at the beginning of the year. We thought he was going to be done. He made it happen, which I kind of hope. I kind of hope this is the Billy Napier path, you know. Man, 9 wins would be amazing. I'll take 8. But Neil Brown went from
We'll take a bowl game. What are you talking about?
No. That's not good enough to keep him. Neil Brown went from hot seat to winning 9 games. Okay.
Might be bye-bye Billy.
Again, West Virginia, very possible. West Virginia, Garrett Green, we talked about him, 2,400 yards, ran for 700 yards. I mean, the kid's impressive for West Virginia. Now, West Virginia lost their best O-lineman. West Virginia did have the number 1 rushing attack last year in the Big 12. However, they lost some O-linemen, and I'm concerned about that. And I'm also concerned that Penn State's got a little bit more fire, and I'm just not going to buy into I was thinking at the beginning of the year, you know, go into West Virginia can make it happen. But as I dug in a little deeper and I look at what's out there on the field, and I think if Aller has a improved game, that Penn State can cover those 8 points. So that's where I am.
Yep. I'm with you. They definitely can, but don't sleep on those Mountaineers. They've been waiting.
Not going to sleep on them, Mike. Not going to sleep on them. Let's keep rolling.
They've been waiting.
Notre Dame.
Real quick.
Yes.
I just want to mention our sponsor.
We have 14 watching, by the way, Mike.
Our sponsor up top, CYA, Shop CYA. Cover your assets. If you're going to any of these games that were mentioned or any others at a sporting event, you have a clear plastic bag sometimes, maybe not everybody, but some people, where you got your wallet and you got your credit cards and your license and your lady stuff and whatever else you put in this bag that you want to make sure that nobody can see once you get through that security line. Bada bing, bada boom. We got cover your assets. So it snaps right on, it's clips on, you're good to go, you're covered on both sides once you get through security. Check it out. Tell them we sent you. ShopCYA.com. Cover your assets. Moving on. Sorry.
There you go. All right, 13 watching, 13. Give us a shout. You guys want to chat? You got us a question, anything like that? We're moving on. We got about 4 games left here. We're going to go to the biggies. We're at the biggies now, Mike. Big boys.
We got the big ones left. Big ones.
We got Notre Dame at Texas A&M. Texas A&M getting 3 points, 46.5 is the over/under. Irish last year, 10-3. Texas A&M 7-6, and they fired Ian's boy Jimbo. Irish right now PFF ranking at 12th. The Irish bring in their 3rd OC in 3 years. That's a little interesting, something to think about. Number 1 pass defense last year. They lost some high-end talent. And I'm not feeling real good about their receivers. So they're going to have to prove it to me. Defense, pretty solid. They've got they're ranked 7th nationally in scoring defense, returning 9 starters, 9 out of 11, not too bad. So defense gonna be pretty good. I question the receivers on the offensive side of the ball. Of course, we got Riley Leonard at quarterback, right? He used to be at Duke. Mike, who else was at Duke that comes into play in this game, Mike? It's a question for you, sir.
Was it the head coach?
It would be the head coach of Texas A&M. Used to be Riley Leonard's coach at Duke. Bada bing, you got a card. So, Mike Elko was the coach at Duke. He's now the coach at Texas A&M. Irish projected win totals 10. And now that Florida State looks like they do, it might be 11. So the Aggies, here's another one of those quarterbacks I kind of wonder about, right? Connor Wegman, is he going to really be it or not? I mean, we'll see. Texas A&M blue chip ratio 76%, which is pretty badass. This one kind of had me going back and forth for sure, because everybody was, everybody's talked about Notre Dame, but then as of the last month and a half, everybody's gone the way of the Aggies. The Aggies got Colin Klein as their OC, which is pretty good, but they've got a new coach, right? They got a new coach, they got a new system, and I'm still not totally bought into, them being all that right out of the damn gate. So give me the Irish and give me them 3 points, and I feel good. What you say, Mike?
And you feel good, huh? But let me tell you why you maybe shouldn't feel so good, Gator Dave.
Talk to me, Mike.
These teams have met twice in the regular season over these programs' long history of games. They've only met twice, and the home team has won and covered both of those meetings. You mentioned Mike Elko, the new head coach for Texas A&M that came over from Duke. So a couple of fun facts about him. In his career, which granted it's been short as a head coach, but while he was at Duke, he was 7-2 against the spread as a home favorite. So when they're supposed to win, they come to play typically. And he was 16-9 against the spread and straight up in his 2 years at Duke. So he had a winning record at Duke, which before he took over, David Cutcliffe did great things for Duke, but towards the end it was pretty rough, and he turned it around really fast. Now you go and you give him Texas A&M's roster with all those blue chips that Jimbo just kind of couldn't get to come together. Whether it was ego, whatever, didn't match up. Something to think about. Texas A&M. Going back to something we've talked about earlier in the show, they've also won their last 6 home openers in a row. Another fun fact, Mike Elko, that head coach we've been talking so much about, he was Notre Dame's defensive coordinator in 2017. So he's got a little familiarity not only with Riley Leonard, the new quarterback for Notre Dame that you mentioned was his quarterback at Duke, but also just with the Notre Dame program as a whole. I think if anybody knows how to stop Leonard, it's going to be Elko. Texas A&M, another number here for you, 35-9 straight up versus non-conference opponents over the last 10 years, and 49-18 straight up at home. Notre Dame has a very inexperienced O-line. I think that could hurt them. They only have 14 total starts between the 5 of the guys projected to start, and 13 of those were by one player. I believe it's the center. Notre Dame, though, is 24-4 straight up versus non-conference opponents over the last 10 years. 26-6, or maybe that's against the spread, actually, because they don't have conference. 26-16 straight up away under Freeman. They're 7-5 against the spread as an away dog under Freeman. Over the last 10 years. But Marcus Freeman, actually their current head coach, since he's been there, he is 3-1 as an away dog against the spread. So, having said all that, Gator Dave, give me the Aggies. Give me the Aggies. Give me the Colt. Give me the Colt down there in College Station, Texas, to get it done against Notre Dame and the Fighting Irish. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be close. You see the total being at 46.5. So pretty. If a team gets to 30, that's their game to win. I think it's going to be first to 24, really. First to 21 is going to kind of have this one. So give me the Aggies. I think they get it done. You mentioned Connor Weidman also. I like him a lot. I think he's a solid quarterback. So definitely look for him to have a big year this year.
All right. What you got next there, Mike? We got a little ACC.
We're headed to another.
ACC,
Another.
SEC.
And it's still not the best one, Dave. Isn't that crazy?
No, it is not.
It's still
We've got
not the
3
best
games left,
one.
folks. 3 games, very important games left. You know the big one's coming at the end.
Is going to put the country on notice, Dave. Early, week 1, ACC, putting the country on notice. So we got Clemson taking on Georgia. They're playing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, where the Falcons play normally. I'm going to hit you again with some numbers. And I think you're going to know where I'm going with this one pretty quickly. So Clemson is 17-6 straight up in neutral site games, and 16-7 against the spread in those same games under Dabo Swinney. They know how to win, and they know how to win on the road in a hostile environment. Clemson is 42-9 straight up versus non-conference opponents under Dabo. Georgia is 18-1 against the spread in non-conference games. Georgia is 19-9 though against the spread in neutral site games. So they're also very good under Kirby Smart, 20-8 straight up in neutral site games. A lot of experience in those kinds of games, right? However, the place they're playing this game at, that's where they have problems, believe it or not. Since 2017, Georgia is just 5-5 straight up and against the spread when playing at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So
yeah,
for
and all those
reason,
losses were against Alabama. So, all right, excuse me. No Clemson.
I mean, that's.
I don't mean to interrupt.
Okay, that's fair.
Probably
That's fair.
Alabama.
And you'll have your time, Gator Dave.
All right. And my last one here for you is Georgia. Like you mentioned, they have been pretty good. They're 35-2 straight up versus non-conference opponents under Kirby Smart. 33-13 straight up versus top 25 under Kirby Smart. He's been there almost 10 years now. That's kind of hard to believe. It really doesn't feel that long, but he's on his way to being a Hall of Fame coach for sure. Having said that, give me Clemson. Give me Clemson and Dabo Swinney. You got Cade Klubnik, Will Shipley back, Phil Maffa, the defensive line, corners. They're all going to improve. Believe it or not, Clemson had a down year last year, but if you look at their defense as a whole, they still were dominant. I mean, I think they only averaged 24 points a game against opponents, or giving up 24 a game. It was less than 300 total yards offense. It was really kind of Klubnik and the offense. They just didn't click. Dabo's bringing in new guys. They're switching it up. I think Clemson has the potential to shock some folks here. Georgia, ultimately, I have winning this game just for their overall aspirations. And last year, they kind of know they got to win these games. But I think Clemson comes out, kind of hits them in the mouth early. So I think this one's going to be a good one. So, but give me Clemson and the points.
Yeah, I did go back and forth on this one. That's a lot of damn points for 2 teams that are in the top 10. I mean, it really is tough. So Clemson 8-4 last year. Dogs were 13-1. And Mike talked about Klubnik. And again, I go to Klubnik is, can he take that next step, right? I mean,
former 5-star number 1 quarterback of his class.
Can he go there, right? But 28-44. Yep. 19 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 64%. Mike, that didn't even hold a candle to freaking our Mertz down in Florida. So he's got to get better. He's got to freaking get better.
We still got a couple games to go, Dave.
All I'm saying is he's got to get better. I mean, I'm gonna throw it in every once in a while. So that's my doubt at this point right now, especially in the first game. He was number 80 in passer rating last year. Wide receivers, I don't have a lot of confidence in them when you look at against Georgia. Granted, down the road it's okay, but we're talking about Georgia here. We're talking about the team that's got a 80% blue chip ratio. Tigers
Yeah, it's
defense
hard.
is
It's hard to
gonna
go
be,
against them.
it is. I mean, Tigers defense is going to be. I mean, you said it yourself. You're gonna, Georgia's going to win the game, but Tigers defense is good, and it's going to be one of the better defenses that Georgia will face this year. Okay, the Dogs returned 15 of 22 starters, and this is the Dogs. This isn't Florida. They got Carson Beck coming back, threw for 4,000 yards, 21-6. 76% of the offense is back, and they took our best running back from Florida. So you think they're going to be okay on offense? Maybe.
Yeah.
I think Beck's going to throw the ball a lot more this year too. I think they're going to open it up a little bit. It's always that kind of second year of a quarterback, because I feel the same thing about Mertz. If our freaking O-line can, again, we're going down to that next game, but I think a second year of a quarterback in that maturation is, can he get the ball down the field? Can he make that improvement? And I think Beck's going to do it with a team like this. Bulldogs, they bring back 4 of the 5 offensive linemen, and Mike, they're all supposed to go to the NFL. Defense, we know Georgia's defense, badass.
Yep.
They only lost to Alabama last year. And like I said, when you look at, who they've lost to, it's been Alabama. And I think they're going to try to turn it up a little bit this year, because I think Kirby kind of feels like he got screwed a bit last year, toward the end of the year and getting in the playoff. And I think he's going to, instead of laying back a little bit, because they laid back a little bit a number of times last year. They didn't cover like they should have. I think this year is going to be a little bit different. I think they're going to score their ass off, and I think they're going to cover this game and win by 14, which I'm glad it's at 13.5. So 14 does it. But and like you said, Georgia's going to win the game, but I think they can win by 14. So give me the Dogs there.
So something real quick I do want to note. These teams did play each other back in 2021. That was the last time they played. And that game was also at Mercedes-Benz. It was a 10-3 game that Georgia won, 10-3. So look for the same sort of. It's going to be defensive. That's why I'm leaning. That's a lot of points. They're Dabo again. Talk about bulletin board material. That's smacked right up there on the wall. They're doubting you again. So
absolutely.
All right. Moving on. We got 3 left, Dave. 3 left.
We got 1, 2. We only have 2.
Or Miguel. 2 left.
We only have 2.
Math,
we only have 2.
Math.
So we got USC Sunday. We got USC versus LSU. LSU right now favored by 4. 64.5. This game is in Las Vegas. Viva. So USC last year 8-5 in the now defunct Pac-12. LSU was 10-3 in the SEC. Mike, did you know this game, the number 1 and the number 2 quarterback selected in NFL were from these 2 teams? Both coaches, a lot of similarities here, Mike. A lot of similarities.
Both coaches are Cajun.
Both coaches are in their 3rd year. Both coaches jacked their defensive coordinator and have a new one. Trojans have Miller Moss, who threw for 6 TDs and 372 yards in the bowl game. 4 of the top 6 receivers are gone for USC. And remember, USC was all about that offense, right? Ooh, that offense. Offensive line wasn't that good because they had a couple of freaking clown-ass Florida players. But so – and the defense was horrible. So USC ran the ball well last year. Number 1 guy's gone. Marshawn Lynch, NFL, right? Alex Grinch out as defensive coordinator. Deonton Lynn, the coordinator from UCLA, who had the 10th best defense last year in all the land, is now their defensive coordinator. But you can't turn that shit around in 1 year, Mike. Tigers quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. You know, his daddy was a freaking offensive coordinator at Florida, and he sucked. But Nussmeier last year, 395 yards, 3 TDs in the bowl game. The Tigers have one of the best offensive lines in the country. Best tackle duo in the college game is what I'm getting. Will Campbell and Emory Jones. So they're absolutely amazing. They returned 12 starters from 2023. Remember what happened last year, though? LSU got beat by FSU, the Noles.
A little ASMR. There you go.
Yeah. So they also have a kid, CJ Daniels, Liberty receiver. They pulled in, snatched out of nowhere. But can the defense sucked? This is like suck defense against suck defense last year. If you looked at where they were last year, both were horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
So who's going to suck the worst in this game, right? Actually, it's the other way around, right? Who made the changes? Who made the right decisions? Who got the right people going, and so on and so forth. And, you know, this game is looks like a damn coin flip to me, but I got to go with the SEC, Mike, and I'm going to take the Tigers to cover in this one. So what say you?
So I could see why you say that, and I got some reasons why, but I got some reasons also here for USC, Dave. So let me throw some numbers at you real quick. LSU, again, we're going back to the well. They have lost their last 4 season openers, including last 2 years were neutral site games. So they have another neutral site game, obviously, here playing in Vegas. USC, on the flip side, they have won their last 5 openers. So that's something of note. LSU, they're 36-8 straight up versus non-conference opponents over the last 10 years. So generally speaking, against non-conference opponents, you know, they bring it, but they also, it's the SEC, so they play some cupcakes, you know, in the past. So if not in the future as well. USC is 1-3 straight up and against the spread in neutral site games under Lincoln Riley. So not great there. USC is 4-7 straight up in neutral sites in the last 10 years. So looking at a little bit of a bigger sample size here. 1-10 against the spread in those 11 neutral site games. 1-10 for USC. Under Brian Kelly, they're 11-7. Or they're 2-3 straight up in neutral site games. They're 11-7 total in the last 10 years. Ultimately, I think, as crazy it is to say, I think Jaden Daniels is going to be an easier gap to fill with Garrett Nussmeier and that offensive line versus on the other side with Caleb Williams and Miller Moss. Miller Moss is great. He showed it in the bowl game. He had 6 touchdowns. The kid can sling it. But they lost a lot of weapons. They don't really have the same guys anymore. Zachariah Branch, he's gone at wide receiver. You know, he's going to have to figure out who his weapons are going to be. One's going to be tough. LSU's going to come to play. I've seen them at a neutral site game in person. Their fans are rowdy. They bring it. So it's going to be a good one. I'm with you. I like the Tigers here to get the win and get the cover. Something of note real fast, though, we've talked about it in a couple of these other games. Look at the over-under total at 64.5. That means offense and points. So to Gator Dave's points about the defense, they don't think that there's a whole lot of improvement here in this Week 1 game. So it should be a shootout, should be a good one to watch on Sunday. It's the only one on Sunday, so looking forward to that one too. All right, Dave,
cool.
It's time.
Hey, real quick, it's time, but we have 14 people watching, and please let the smack begin from my Florida and Miami peeps that are out there, because I know y'all are out there. You've been waiting for this game, and I know I got peeps on both sides of this fence. So fling it out there. What you think, Florida or Miami?
Fling it out there.
Mike rolls in. What you got, Mike? What are your thoughts here on our fun ass time in the swamp on Saturday.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm looking forward to it. I'm just gonna say that. I've had this one circled since it was scheduled years ago.
Years ago.
Really, really looking forward to going to this game. It's gonna be a blast with you and Jared and Hendu. It's gonna be awesome. Uh, I can't wait to witness your cry and your tears and your excuses when we walk out of there with a win on Saturday night. So let me just start with that. Miami is winning this game. All right, I'm not going to leave you in suspense about where I'm going. You probably could have guessed it. Miami's winning this game. We brought in Cam Ward. We brought in Damian Martinez at running back. It's time. It's time. We got the offensive line that we haven't had for 20 years, 25 years. We got stout dudes. We got depth. We got playmakers on defense. I'm telling you, I'm extremely excited about this team. I haven't been in a while. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, this is our year. No, it hasn't been our year for a long time. All right. But this is one right here where we have the potential, especially with the schedule that we have. I mean, floor is 9 wins. If you don't get 9 wins with the schedule that we have and the roster that we have, something ain't right. So it starts here. Let me give you some numbers real quick, and I'll let you break it down a little bit further. So the last 4 head-to-heads against these two teams, all right, 4 straight unders. So you look at that over-under total, it's sitting at 53.5. I tend to agree there. I think it's going to be more of a defensive shootout. It's going to be sloppy. It's the first game of the year. There's probably going to be a couple big plays. There's probably going to be a couple dumb plays that are going to happen on both sides. So I think, it's going to be tight. I'm thinking more like, I don't know, 24-23, somewhere in there. But that's another thing. Just wanted to throw that out there about the last 4 head-to-heads. Under Billy Napier. Here we go. This is the good stuff. This is what the people are waiting for. All right? Under Billy Napier, the Gators are 2-10 straight up versus top 25 opponents. They are 3-14 straight. Or no. This is just Billy now. Billy is dating back to his other previous ventures. He is 3-14 straight up versus top 25 opponents in his coaching career. The Gators are 3-6 against the spread against non-conference opponents under Billy Napier. Again, I just mentioned that the SEC hasn't played a whole lot of tough teams in the old non-conference, but Florida did play Utah last year. They played maybe South Florida, so they kind of fluctuate. After they got that athletic director out of there who had deals with the devil and was getting them all these easy 8 home game scheduled seasons, it's gotten a little tougher for them, and you see it now. This is the number 1 toughest schedule in the season, so I give Gator Dave and the Gators props for stepping up to the plate to take one in the chin, because it's going to be a rough year. Gator Dave mentioned it. Billy Napier, he doesn't think a bowl game is going to save his job, so bye-bye, Billy. Back to the bayou. Billy goes. Florida at home under Billy Napier is just 9-5 straight up and 5-4 straight up versus non-conference opponents. 5-4 against non-conference opponents. Over the last 10 years, Florida is 17-23-1 against the spread against non-conference opponents, and just 6-4 as a home dog against the spread. However, Miami has lost 3 of our last 5 road openers, so it kind of takes a little bit to get us going down there. We live in a good life in Miami. It's not like Gainesville, where there's nothing to do and you got to stare at paint dry to have entertainment. There's beaches, there's clubs, there's fast cars, beautiful women. Again, not like Gainesville. So there's a lot more distractions there. Under Cristobal, while Mario Cristobal has been at Miami, they are 5-5 straight up in away games. So a little shaky on the road for the Canes. 3-3 against the spread when they are an away favorite. Miami is just 4-5 against the spread against non-conference opponents under Mario Cristobal. So kind of very similar right there with Billy Napier in that statistic. This one hurt my heart. This one hurt my heart to write down, Dave. Miami is 26-23 straight up in away games over the last 10 years. Absolutely terrible on the road. That is not what you're looking for. 25 and 24 against the spread in those games. However, taking a page out of your ASMR book here, Dave. Miami gets it done. It's going to be a close game. I am very much looking forward to it, like I said already. In the Swamp, I've been there once in my life, and it was absolutely rocking. That was when we played Tebow back in, I think, like 08, and they handled us. It was not the best game to be at. So I'm looking forward to a different outcome in this one, Gator Dave. Go Canes.
Well,
Go Canes.
You're looking
Go Canes.
forward to
It's great to be Miami. Okay. You're going to hear that a lot at the end of the game. Going through that stadium. That's what you're going to hear walking through the car.
A Florida Gator, so it's great to be. So here it is, Mike. It's going to be a rough sled again there, my friend. I do want to let's talk about the schedules and the Mickey Mouse and all that league that you guys live in over there. Your strength of schedule this year is 50. We're number 1. Last year we were number 4, and you guys were, I don't know, 45. So let's just talk about that.
So now you're just making stuff up.
Before we go there, the competition, is different there, my friend. So Hurricanes, 7-5 last year. Gators 5-7. I think it's very important that we set the stage for both the teams. It's a must-win for both teams, Mike. You guys lose.
100%.
It's not. It's gonna hurt. It's not gonna be good. I mean, I have you guys winning the ACC. And if you don't win this game, how is that gonna look? So. And the same thing goes for us.
Well, the good news is Florida's not in the ACC, so we still have a shot.
It's going to be a bad – true that. But it's going to be a bad start for either one of us to lose this game. So, I think both the coaches – let's talk about the coaches. I think they both are not the best game day coaches. And you pointed that out. There could be an issue, and somebody make a knucklehead decision, Georgia Tech or – other way, you never know. So it could come down to Knucklehead 1 or Knucklehead 2. So Miami's got Cam Ward, which is a great pickup for them. Obviously, one of the better quarterbacks available in the portal. But I promise you, this is going to be Cam Ward's biggest game he's ever played. Guarantee it. Miami has the best quarterback, has the best running back in the ACC. And you're going against a 5-7 team, Mike. It should be a piece of cake. Gators.
That's how I feel.
We got Graham Mertz, Mike. We got Graham Mertz. He's here for his 5th year as a starter, his 2nd year with the Gators. And oh, by the way, Mike, I know you don't know, but our boy Montrell will be playing in the game. Montrell Johnson is cleared and will play the game.
Yep.
Not that it's going to be that great a deal, because I'll be honest with you, I think our running backs are decent, but gives me a little bit of confidence. He won't play the whole damn game, but it gives me some confidence that he will be playing. Gators brought in Ron Roberts, defensive coordinator from Auburn last year. And by the way, I know people think, oh, well, they let him go. No. Auburn did not let him go. Freaking Florida poached his ass and brought him in, and now we have like 2.
So they let him go.
We have defensive coordinator 1 and 2, which we freaking need right now because our defense sucked last year. With the talent that we've got, should not have sucked. So I think that's going to help us a bit. Players to watch for the Gators: Eugene Wilson III. The man is a beast. Could very well be. We'll find out. I'll say halfway through the year, we'll talk about it. Is he the next Percy Harvin? Could be. Maybe not. Elijah Badger brought over from Arizona State as a wide receiver. Grayson Howard from South Carolina wanted to be a Gator in the very beginning, got more money at South Carolina, but we got him back. We're happy about that. Remember freshman edge rusher L.J. McCray. Now, he might only make a couple of plays in this game, but just watch out for him later in the year. Gators returned 14 starters from last year's team. O-line is going to be the key in this game. So when you're watching the game, and if the first quarter, the defensive line for Miami is dominating the offensive line for the Gators, I might go ahead and head to the parking lot because that could be a problem. So if they can hold up, it will be a key, and we can make it happen. But that'll be what you need to watch for out there, Gator fans. The blue chip talent on this team is like this close, very, very close. Depending on what service you look at, they're very close. They both got great blue chip talent. I do want to say we're gonna have so much damn fun. No matter what happens, we're still gonna have fun. But I'm gonna have to say, Gator Dave's not gonna be crying when he leaves. Miami Mike is gonna go home upset. And give me my Gators, and I'll take 2.5 points any day of the week. Go Gators!
Should I show the text message that you sent me a couple days ago regarding this game, and how you're trying to guarantee that you're not leaving in tears?
Oh, I'm not going to leave in tears.
Didn't you mention Miami was maybe the play?
What?
I'm just curious. Maybe I was mistaken. Maybe that was another day.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. So we'll talk about, hey, team people out there, let's highlight this. This is the Miami Mike and the Gator Dave hot topic we'll talk next week, as I will reveal that hot topic with all disclosure for everyone on this call. So we'll just leave it at that. You can reveal that next week, Mike, because there's some ulterior motives involved, my friend.
Okay. Whatever you say. All right, so let's throw up the recap real quick, and see what we are both on and what we aren't. So we're both on TCU -10 against Stanford. I like Northwestern to get it home in that brand new stadium to get it done. You like the Red Hawks +3 of Miami of Ohio. I got Houston money line to get it done against UNLV at home. You like the over in that one. I like Georgia Southern to get the cover at home against Boise State. You like Boise State -13. This should be a -13, not a plus. We're both on Virginia Tech -13 against Vanderbilt at Vandy. I'm on Boston College +16.5. You are on the under in that BC FSU game. We're both on Fresno State +21. We both think that's a live dog, so definitely make sure you watch that one. Could be some good numbers there for sure. I'm on West Virginia +8. You're on Penn State -8. Texas A&M money line for me. You got Notre Dame +3. Clemson +13.5 against Georgia. You got Georgia in that one. We're both on LSU -4. And then last but not least, I got the Canes, and you got the Gators +2.5. That's it. That's week 1. So, again, we have 4 games still from our week 0 show that are week 1 games. They're the Thursday and Friday games, I believe. So watch for those as well. There's a couple that are going to happen. So there's actually 16 games that we're on for this week 1. That's pretty awesome. So it should be pretty good. And a lot of those, as you can see, we're head-to-head again. So there should be some movement. That medal should definitely be back next week. So we'll definitely have to look for that. But thank you for everybody that was watching. Really appreciate everybody that jumped in the chat. It was awesome to see. This was a fun week. Obviously, we got football back. But Miami, Florida, it's always a good time. Always a good time to talk with Gator Dave about some games. So appreciate everybody that tuned in for sure. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit that bell up there on the top or on the bottom. I really don't have no idea where it's at. But that's make sure you get notifications for when we go live. We're here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, so definitely check it out. We'll be back for week 2 next week. Gator Dave, what you got?
Absolutely, another week. The first week in the books now, and like Mike said, we appreciate everyone that jumped on the chat and all the folks that'll join later. You know, we're real excited about 2024 and the rebranding with Bet's Utopia and where we're taking things. Hopefully, you like what's gone on. Mike's done a fabulous job with the graphics and the changes that we've got on. A lot of information there. Very, very professional. Appreciate what you've done, Mike, and definitely look forward to this weekend, having a great time with you and Hindu and my boy Jared. We're gonna have a great time no matter what happens. It's all about fun anyway when it comes down to it, and enjoying college football and whooping that ass and beating them Canes and go Gators. See you, Mike.
Go Canes, baby. Go Canes. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you, bud. We'll see you in 2 days.